It's one goal and conflict and disaster, followed by another, with a reaction each time that charts the new course of direction that the protagonist will take. So put together, it looks like this. And you can easily think of examples, dozens of examples, probably from your own work, of how these things work. And as you think about it, think about what you left out in your writing process. Because usually what we forget to put in is the emotional side of things. We have the protagonist running around trying to do things, but we don't stop long enough to really internalize how that process is going and what they're feeling and thinking. And that's what brings the humanity to your protagonist as they're on this physical journey. It is their emotional journey. And so imagine that someone is trying to get to their wedding. That's their goal, but they're running late. The car didn't start, or it broke down, or they couldn't get an Uber, or their relative who was going to pick them up didn't show up. That's the conflict and the disaster that followed it. And so now their emotion is anxiety. They're not there soon enough. Their thought is, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late. What will people think? Will they think that I'm jilting my intended at the altar? And the decision might be to try another way, to call another friend, to try a different route to get to the wedding. Their action might be to hop on a bus. And so now you have a new conflict as they're riding on the bus, and the bus is stopping at every single street, and they're still going to be late. And you can see this constant interplay. No matter what the scenario is, you can use this to balance scene and sequel. And speaking of balance, scene and sequel is the perfect way to fix the pacing of your novel. If your novel is dragging, it means that the sequels are too long. You're spending too much time in the protagonist's head. You need to cut them back and give us more physical conflict to keep the action going. On the other hand, if your novel seems to be rushing from one thing to the next, it means you've forgotten the sequels, or they're too short, or you've left out elements. And so then it's time to build up the sequels. Let us get to know your protagonist better. Give us more of their emotion, their thought, the decisions they make, and the actions that they take. And then we'll get to know them better. That interplay and your adjustment of it affects the whole way that we will perceive the journey as your protagonist makes their way through your novel.